Your Majesty is welcome to a fair. Such place, such men, such language, and such wear. You must expect, with these, the zealous noise of your land's faction, scandalized at toys. As babies, hobber horses, puppet plays, and such like rage, whereof the petulant ways yourself have known, and have been vexed with long. These for your sport, without particular wrong, or just complaint of any private man, who of himself, or shall think well, or can. The Maker doth present, and hopes, tonight, to give you for a faring, true delight.
Gentlemen, have a little patience, they are e'en upon coming, instantly. He that should begin the play, Master Littlewit, the proctor, has a stitch new fallen in his black silk stocking, 'twill be drawn up ere you can tell 20, he plays one o' the arches that dwells about the hospital, and he has a very pretty part. But for the whole play, will you have the truth on't? I am looking, lest the poet hear me, or his man, Master Brome, behind the arras, it is like to be a very conceited, scurvy one, in plain English. When comes to the fair once, you were e'en as good go to Virginia, for anything there is of Smithfield. He has not hit the humours, he does not know them, he has not conversed with the Bartholomew birds, as they say, he has ne'er a sword and buckler man in his fair, nor a little Davy, to take toll o' the bawds there, as in my time, nor a kind heart, if any body's teeth should chance to ache in his play, nor a juggler with a well-educated ape, to come over the chain for a king of England, and back again for the prince, and sit still on his arse for the Pope and the King of Spain. None of these fine sights. Nor has he the canvas cut in the night, for a hobbyhorse man to creep into his she-neighbour, and take his leap there. Nothing. No, and some writer that I know had but the penning this matter, he would have made you such a jig-a-jog in the booths, you should have thought an earthquake had been in the fair. But these master poets, they will have their own absurd courses, they will be informed of nothing. He has, Sir Reverence, kicked me 3 or 4 times about the tiring house, I thank him, for but offering to put in with my experience. I'll be judged by you, gentlemen, now, but for one conceit of mine, would not a fine pomp upon the stage have done well, for a property now? And a punk set under upon her head, with her stern upward, and have been soused by my witty young masters the Inns of Court. What think you of this for a show, now? He will not hear this. I am an ass. And yet I kept the stage in Master Tarleton's time, I thank my stars. Ho! And that man had lived to have played in Bartholomew Fair, you should have seen him have come in, and have been cozened in the cloth quarter, so finely. And Adams, the rogue, have leaped and capered upon him, and have dealt his vermin about, as though they had cost him nothing. And then a substantial watch to have stolen in upon them, and taken them away, with mistaking words, as the fashion is in the stage practice.
How now? What rare discourse are you fallen upon, ha? Have you found any familiars here, that you were so free? What's the business?
Nothing, but the understanding gentleman the ground here asked my judgment.
Judgment, rascal? For what? Sweeping the stage, or gathering up the broken apples for the bears within? Away, rogue, it's come to a fine degree in these spectacles, when such a youth as you pretend to a judgment. And yet he may, in the most of this matter, I faith, for the author has writ it just to his meridian, and the scale of the grounded judgments here, his playfellows in wit. Gentlemen, not for want of a prologue, but by way of a new one, I am sent out to you here, with a scrivener, and certain articles drawn out in haste between our author and you, which if you please to hear, and as they appear reasonable, to approve of, the play will follow presently. Read, scribe, give me the counterpane.
Articles of agreement, indented, between the spectators or hearers, at the Hope on the Bankside in the county of Surrey, on the one party, and the author of Bartholomew Fair, in the said place and county, on the other party, the 31st day of October, 1614, and in the 12th year of the reign of our sovereign Lord James, by the grace of God, King of England, France, and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, and of Scotland the 47th. It is covenanted and agreed, by and between the parties aforesaid, and the said spectators and hearers, as well the curious and envious, as the favouring and judicious, as also the grounded judgments and understandings, do for themselves severally covenant and agree to remain in the places their money or friends have put them in, with patience, for the space of 2 hours and an half, and somewhat more. In which time the author promiseth to present them by us, with a new sufficient play, called Bartholomew fair, merry, and as full of noise, as sport, made to delight all, and to offend none, provided they have either the wit or the honesty to think well of themselves. It is further agreed, that every person here have his or their free will of censure, to like or dislike at their own charge, the author having now departed with his right, it shall be lawful for any man to judge his 6 worth, his 12 worth, so to his 18 pence, 2 shillings, half a crown, to the value of his place, provided always his place get not above his wit. And if he pay for half a dozen, he may censure for all them too, so that he will undertake that they shall be silent. He shall put in for censures here, as they do for lots at the lottery, marry, if he drop but 6 pence at the door, and will censure a crown's worth, it is thought there is no conscience or justice in that. It is also agreed, that every man here exercise his own judgment, and not censure by contagion, or upon trust, from another's voice or face, that sight by him, be he never so first in the commission of wit, as also that he be fixed and settled in his censure that what he approves or not approves today, he will do the same tomorrow, and if tomorrow, the next day, and so the next week, if need be, and not to be brought about by any that sits on the bench with him, though they indict and arraign. Plays daily. He that will swear, Geronimo or Andronicus, are the best plays yet, shall pass unaccepted at here, as a man whose judgment shows it is constant, and hath stood still these 25 or 30 years. Though it be an ignorance, it is a virtuous and staid ignorance, and next to truth, a confirmed error does well, such a one the author knows where to find him. It is further covenanted, concluded, and agreed, that how great soever the expectation be, no person here is to expect more than he knows, or better where than a fair will afford, neither to look back to the sword and buckler age of Smithfield, but content himself with the present. Instead of a little Davy to take toll o' the boards, the author doth promise a strutting horse courser, with a leer drunkard, 2 or 3 to attend him, in as good equipage as you would wish. And then for kind heart the tooth-drawer, a fine oily pig-woman with her tapster, to bid you welcome, and a consort of roarers for music. A wise justice of peace meditant, instead of a juggler with an ape. A civil cut-purse sergeant. A sweet singer of new ballads allurant, and as fresh an hypocrite as ever was broached, rampant. If there be never a servant monster in the fair, who can help it, he says, nor a nest of antiques? He is loath to make nature afraid in his plays, like those that beget tales, tempests, and such like drolleries, to mix his head with other men's heels. Let the concupiscence of jigs and dances reign as strong as it will amongst you, yet if the puppets will please any body, they shall be entreat to come in. In consideration of which, it is finally agreed, by the aforesaid hearers and spectators, that they neither in themselves conceal, nor suffer by them to be concealed, any state decipherer, or politic picklock of the scene so solemnly ridiculous, as to search out, who was meant by the gingerbread woman, who by the hobbyhorse man, who by the custard-monger, nay, who by their wares. Or that will pretend to affirm on his own inspired ignorance, what mirror of magistrates is meant by the justice, what great lady by the pig-woman, what concealed statesman by the seller of mousetraps, and so of the rest. But that such person, or persons, so found, be left discovered to the mercy of the author, as a forfeiture to the stage, and your laughter aforesaid. As also such as shall so desperately, or ambitiously play the fool by his place aforesaid, to challenge the author of scurrility, because the language somewhere savours of Smithfield, the booth, and the pig broth, or of profaneness, because a madman cries, God quit you, or bless you. In witness whereof, as you have preposterously put to your seals already, which is your money, you will now add the other part of suffrage, your hands. The play shall presently begin. And though the fair be not kept in the same region that some here, perhaps, would have it, yet think, that therein the author hath observed a special decorum, the place being as dirty as Smithfield, and as stinking every whit. Howsoever, he prays you to believe, his ware is still the same, else you will make him justly suspect that he that is so loath to look on a baby or an hobbyhorse here, would be glad to take up a commodity of them, at any laughter or loss in another place.